Hi, my name is Amanda Nicole. I am a Christian life coach and teacher at the Freedom Through Divorce online school. This content is created for the sole purpose of bringing awareness of the school and the kind of content that I teach to the women that desperately need it. Thank you for joining me. I pray that God will speak to you and that you will experience freedom while you listen. Hi, everybody. Today, I want to talk about the subject of finances as it relates to divorce and also to child custody. So, I kind of was having a conversation with God, this past week, 2 weeks, um, and He just kind of was bringing down some strongholds of some things that us as Christian women, tend to deal with. Just basically some lies that we believe. Most of us, we who are honest and love God, when we're in a situation where we're dealing with a divorce or a child custody, we're always wanting to make sure that the situation is fair. And in our minds, fair is generally we're willing to give more than we're willing to get because we're just trying to keep the peace. We don't want it to get ugly. We don't want our kids to have to go through, just, more undue stress and negativity than they have to. And so we're willing to just give up a lot of things just to try to keep the peace. And, as I was kind of talking to God about that, He was saying that the season for that is over. That I've talked about a lot in this show about how your destiny and the blessings that God has for you are all wrapped up in His plan and purpose for you. And so when you're in an unauthorized marriage, you are outside of that plan and purpose. And so even though God, will get some blessings to you, He'll meet your needs basically. You don't get that overflow. You don't get the favor. You don't get the, big blessings that He really has for you. You do get, some things here or there because He does love us and, He is concerned about us, but we just don't get the overflow of the blessings and the inheritance that He originally had for us. And so, because He does give us some things, the little things that He does give us when we're in an unauthorized marriage, they get sucked up. It's just the marriage is so dysfunctional, and because we are, trying to live our lives as Christ, we continually have that mindset of I'm going to give, and we don't get anything in return. And so when God does bless us financially, it may not be some big huge thing where you're a millionaire, but it is something to where it always ends up going to the household. It always ends up going to the children. It always ends up going to sometimes the other spouse, and it doesn't ever end up going to you. And so it's basically the cankerworm is destroying what God does have for you and taking it and stealing it. And so when you're talking about years and years and years of this going on in marriage, it does add up. And so when you get to the point where you're going through a divorce and you're going through, child custody and things like that and child support, God is basically saying it's time for you to look at this from a mindset that I'm looking at it. You are my child. I've given you blessings, not the full blessings that I have for you, but I've given you some, and then someone else has stolen them. And so when you get ready to get divorced and you get ready to go through, child support and things like that, you're willing to say, it's fine that you stole that. I'm just going to let it go. It's fine. Just take it. I just want to keep the peace. And He's saying, no, we're not going to do that. You're going to go back and you're going to get what was stolen from you because it was yours. If you think back to what He reminded me of when He was telling me about this, He was reminding me of the children of Israel and how when they left and God freed them from Pharaoh, they left with gold. They left with riches. And if you only look at the end of the story, they went and asked for that gold before the last plague came and they left. And so it kind of seems like they stole all their gold. But you got to remember, they were only wealthy because they were using the blessing that was on the children of Israel. They were the ones working. They were the ones building. They were the ones, generating that wealth for them, for Egypt. And so they were essentially stealing their blessing. And so God made them go back and get it before they left. He didn't say just, okay, they've been keeping you bondage this whole time. Things have been just so contentious, and, they have been so hard on you, and you just want to get out of this, and you don't really care if they keep the money or not. Just get out, save your lives, and get away from the dysfunction. No, he made them go back and get the wealth before they left. And so he was reminding me of that when he was telling me about this, is that, listen, there are a lot of people, women that are my daughters, that they have done everything that they know to do in these marriages. Now, are they perfect? No, but they've done everything that they know to do. They've given everything that I've given them, and they're willing to leave and give it all up and just let the enemy have it. And I'm not pleased with that. Tell them that they need to go back and get what is theirs. It's theirs. I gave it to them, and they don't need to just give it away to somebody. If you're expecting me to be able to bless you and bless you abundantly, then I have to know that you're not going to give away the wealth the minute that things get hard and the minute that you want to just keep the peace, because the enemy he's accuser of the brethren. He is contention. Okay. So if you're going to run from contention and you're going to say, just fine, whatever, just take it, every time the enemy does that to you, you're not going to be able to hold on to wealth. You're not going to be able to hold on to the blessings that I have for you. So I need you to take a very no nonsense attitude when it comes to the finances that I've given you, and say, no, this is my father's and you cannot have it. And I'm going to fight you until you give me back what you stole from me. And so, that's really not our nature. That's really not our personality. And we've spent years being taught by the church and by, religion that we have to just sit down, shut up, be quiet, and submit. And so it's very difficult to flip the switch and move over to that I'm not taking any mess from you mentality. But if you really think about the Proverbs 31 woman, she didn't get to be as wealthy and as good of a business person as she was by letting people take advantage of her and walk all over her. So we really got to switch that mentality and say, listen, there's a time and place for everything. That's what Proverbs says. And so the time and place of me letting the enemy take all of my stuff, that season's over. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going and taking. That's what the Bible says. It says the kingdom of God suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. Now, not everybody's marriage and divorce is contentious and high conflict and things like that. And if yours isn't, you certainly are going to take a different approach. But if you were in an unauthorized marriage and you get to the point where you need to get a divorce and you need to go down that road, you cannot take the attitude of, let me keep the peace. Okay. It's just like, where with Ahab and Jezebel, Jehu, when he came into town, he knew right off the bat, there's no peace. We're not doing that. You've already proven that you are not going to do right. Like, you're just not going to do that. So I'm not even going to come in here with that keep the peace mentality. I'm going to come in here, either you submit or we're going to have a problem. And so you have to look at yourself as the enforcer of the will of God, because that's what you are. As a Christian, that's what you are. You are an enforcer of the will of God on this earth. And the will of God is for you and your children to be blessed going in, to be blessed going out, to be the head and not the tail, to be the lender and not the borrower. And you cannot do that if you have the door open for the enemy to steal from you. So if your ex is hell bent on continuing to try to steal from you and take advantage of you and just, financially be selfish, you have to put your foot down. And so that's the message that I wanted to discuss today, because that's the message that the Lord was telling me, is that, Christian women, we've got to take a different approach and a different mindset, because we have that mindset of God is our provider and we don't need anybody else's, finances, especially if they don't want to give it to us. If they don't want to give it to us, we don't want it, but that it's not theirs to give. It's not theirs. If it was theirs, then we would be having a different conversation right now. But it's not theirs. It's yours that they got from stealing it from you as a child of God. So you need to go back and get it. You can't be okay with them having it, because God's not okay with it. And if he's not okay with it, then we're not okay with it. So I just wanted to discuss that today, because I think it's just, it has really just become just the norm that as Christians, we just are okay with the enemy walking all over us. We're okay with, living paycheck to paycheck, not having enough, struggling financially, and the only reason that we're that way is because we're letting the enemy steal the wealth that God has for us. And so I was crying out to God about that. And he was saying, look, listen, I do have blessings for you. I have abundance for you, but I need you to get very cutthroat when it comes to what I give you, because the enemy is never, okay, never going to stop trying to steal from you. And if you don't have that mentality of, we're not doing this and we're going to fight about this, and you're going to think twice before trying to steal from me, he's going to steal from you every time. This course is material that I got straight from God when I was in that same situation where I felt like my situation was just completely untenable. I had been in it for years and I felt like I needed to get out, but I needed to know, what does God say? When is divorce acceptable? Is there a time when it's acceptable? Is there a time when it's actually necessary? How do I know? How do I get that, okay in my spirit to say, all right, this is what I need to do? All of those questions I went straight to God with, and he answered every single one of them. And I've put the answers to every single one of them in this course. So if you are a Christian woman that feels like divorce is, the only option for you, and you want to hear God speak on it before you make such a drastic decision, or if you're in a situation where you've already gotten a divorce, but you never did hear God clearly, and you wonder if you made the right decision, this course is for you. I encourage you to order this course to allow God to speak truth to you and to bring freedom so that you don't feel condemned.